Yeah. And I think that the kind of from the employee perspective, like if you like believe in the vaccine and you're also being asked to be in the office or you want to be in the office, I think what I'm hearing it from them is, well, I want to know that the people around me are vaccinated or are going to take other precautions like masking and social distancing and informing me of their choice, or that I'll be located with people who have also been vaccinated. And they want that guarantee because in their mind, this is my personal health and safety. And as an employer, it is your duty to ensure that I'm safe in the workplace. And then I think there are other people who come at it from like that are not vaccinated. And there's so many deep reasons why people aren't vaccinated either. Like some are just waiting. Some maybe just don't feel like they've had the support to go do it. And then there's people who just are not going to. So there's a whole host of reasons in that camp.
I think the important thing is to dignify that both people are dignified in the way they feel and their belief systems. And that's not the conversation we're having, is whether vaccines are right or wrong. Because the fact is, people who are running companies right now and people who are leading teams right now have to deal with this conversation, whether you believe one way or the other.
Absolutely. And I think that's why I really think empathy is needed for everyone. And what I hear from people who are unvaccinated and don't plan to get vaccinated, and this obviously is a small, group of people, but I feel like I'm a social pariah if I were to share my vaccination status. I feel like people see me as selfish, as stupid, as someone who doesn't believe in science and have all these deep reasons, but not really a curiosity as to why they're not choosing to get the vaccine or a respect of their decision. So I think it's so imperative to recognize that we're all different. We all come from different backgrounds, religions, traditions, belief systems. And I think it's important to recognize the validity of both sides. And I think that's why I don't think going into the conversations of like allowing people, for example, I was present at a point in time when a member of the leadership team said, well, if you don't get the vaccine, you're a murderer. That is so intense. That is so hurtful. And that's the thing that severs trust. And so the idea of coming at it from an empathetic place, I think is really important, and a place where you can like see and understand that everyone kind of has a different lens for viewing the world. And that's why I also think like really think about like, what are the boundaries you're placing on yourself? Like the companies I see fighting this the most are also pushing people to go back in the office, but they're a tech company that survived a year remotely. And so really thinking about like, what are the things that might could ease some of this angst? I do think empathy is so important.
Yeah. It's something around like creating options for both sides. Like, how do you handle that middle path of, because I truly believe the companies that are the most, might get some slack for this, the most neutral about it, that serve 100% of their people instead of being polarizing about it and serving a population of their people, which is both sides are doing it. Like, I think the people that find solutions for both are going to be the companies that are going to be the better off.
I think that's why feedback's important. Like, don't make assumptions. Don't use a small sample size. Ask everyone and just get a sense of where you're at. Even if you don't even pulse check on percentage of vaccinated to non, pulse check just on the feelings and how people feel about it. But I also think this is where my like recommendation to folks who I typically serve tech companies has been allow ongoing virtual work opportunities, because folks can opt out of coming into the office. And there's honestly so many reasons why someone might not be comfortable going to an office right now. To me, that is it's the easy path. Just so continuing, if you can, remote opportunities and continuing the same things that you might have been doing before the vaccine, like having all of the sanitation equipment in your office, having people book spaces to be in, the masking, the social distancing, the outdoor meetings, all the things that people were doing a year ago, you can still do and still make people feel safe. And I understand they can be frustrating. But I think what's hard is like crafting a path for just the non-vaccinated and just the vaccinated. If you were to identify who those people were, provide like, hey, if you're vaccinated, do this, or unvaccinated, do that, you run the risk of stigmatizing people. And it can go either way, depending on what you believe and what you've decided, I think. And, we had this awkward period in Austin where a lot of people were vaccinated and the mask mandate was lifted, and you'd go out in public and you were like, some people were wearing masks and people weren't. And it was like really hard to know, like, okay, do we all assume that if you're not masked, you're vaccinated, and if you are masked, you're not. And it was like, that really wasn't a safe assumption. So I also think these paths that are like, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. And if you're unvaccinated, wear a mask. I don't know if I see those working out super well, because I think there's a lot of assumptions that people apply to each of those groups of people that could still lead to like a stigmatization or divulging of private medical information just by like whether you're wearing a mask or not.